All right, boys. Welcome back to the Checkout Podcast. It's a podcast where I gather groups of people that I would start a company with if I could start a company with anybody, but everybody's too busy. So I do a podcast instead. We got Bart from Dad Gang and Nate from Original Grain today. All right, here's a little scenario. I like to do this when you guys are on. Tell you a little story, right? Uh, it's let's say like 2005, 2006, maybe 2008, somewhere in there in the aughts, in the 2000s, mid to late 2000s, 2010. You're on a flight. You don't have a smartphone yet. We didn't really have smartphones. They hit in 2008, but a lot of people didn't still have them in 2010. You're on a flight. You forgot to bring a book with you. You look forward, look at the seat in front of you. What are you picking up? What are you grabbing?
I'll take the safety guide to the plane.
You're hitting the safety guy. You're like, look, if we crash,
Yeah.
I know what to do. I'm so prepared. Been reading this for the last hour and a half.
Yeah. If I'm not going to be entertained, I might as well be stressed about all the possible crash scenarios. And yeah, just make sure I know every inch of that 730,
Yeah.
791.
Yeah. Yeah. Big plane guy saying what the actual models are.
Yeah. Big plane guy, dude. Yeah.
What about you, Bart? What are you grabbing? What are you reaching for?
It depends on the airline because back then they actually had some decent readers on there. So I would go for the Delta's Daily or whatever it's called. But sometimes they would have a decent magazine in there that you would pretend you can switch your brain to pretend to be super interested in all of the stuff in there. And then you kind of enjoy reading these topics.
Okay, Bart, one of the big things I'm seeing a lot in Facebook ad accounts these days is a lot of spend on product catalogs. And I'm really, really seeing this a ton in apparel and clothing. I'm curious, how much of your budget is going toward catalog?
Yeah, we have really good product photography. So a majority of our spend recently has been going to catalog ads. 40, 50, and sometimes 60% is going into catalog ads, DPAs. And yeah, we're seeing a lot of great results from it.
Yeah, even just going catalogs to cold audiences. One of the issues, though, of course, with catalogs is that you can't stand out creatively. Like you can't, it's just your product photos. So I think we've solved for that in an interesting way with Dad Gang, with our partner Marpipe. So can you just kind of break down what you're doing with Marpipe to try and get better results out of your catalog ads?
Marpipe was able to come in and kind of mix up our creative a lot. We kind of felt like we were cornered into this. You can only show white background images or whatever's on your Shopify site. And they were able to come in and bust out a bunch of variations of that catalog, adding copy or adding various backgrounds or even simple things like price. Before that, we were just kind of, held to white background. Here's the hat and here's the copy of the ad. Whereas now that creative can showcase a lot more about the brand to a cold or a remarketing audience.
Yeah, cool. So if you're a Facebook advertiser, marketer, founder, anything like that, you're most likely running product catalog ads in your Facebook ad account already. Check out Marpipe if you want to basically just put those product catalog ads on steroids.
So that's what I would go for.
Okay, many people would probably reach for a little magazine called SkyMall. You guys remember SkyMall?
That's it.
Yeah. So SkyMall hit its peak kind of in the 2000s. And so I wanted to break down SkyMall because I was just thinking the other day, wonder what happened to SkyMall. And just for people who don't know, I think maybe anyone under 25 might have just never experienced SkyMall. Maybe even under.
I'm close for the record. I'm 29. I think it was relevant for a flight or two for me, in high school.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It would have been
under 30.
You would have been in high school.
Under 30 is you can catch some people.
Yeah. When you said 2008 for the record, I was 12. So
right. I know. Yeah. That's why I was kind of I knew you were a little bit younger, so I was trying to stretch it a little bit. I think I got a smartphone kind of late, so I was still flipping the SkyMalls maybe in 2012.
Yeah.
But a lot of people had a smartphone by then. But also you can use your smartphone on the plane still for the most part by then. But yeah, so SkyMall, I was just kind of bopping along the other day, wondered what happened to SkyMall. For people who don't know, Think about like if you were like a drop shipper and you were like, I just want to drop ship viral products that will go like viral on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And that's my whole thing. I just want to drop ship viral products. That's SkyMall, but it was a magazine inside of airplanes. So you sit in the airplane, you look at the like little pocket of the seat in front of you, and there's this magazine that's just full of those products. It's just all those products, the kind of random crap that you see scrolling through TikTok or Instagram that like people almost laugh at because of how ridiculous the product is, but also you're like, okay, but that would be kind of nice. I think that I might actually want that. Would you say that's an accurate description of what SkyMall was, Bart? Do you have any amendments to that?
Yeah, it was super interesting shit. Like a Bed Bath and Beyond in a magazine.
Yeah, I mean, I have this whole thing where, you know, like, I don't know if you've ever been on a flight and you've seen a movie and you're like, that was a pretty good movie. And then you watch the movie again, you're like, what was I thinking? I do think when you're in the air, you're somehow more interested in stuff. Yeah. I don't know.
I feel like a calm euphoria in the air. I feel like I'm at my calmest and like most open to whatever.
For sure. Airplane. Yeah. So I do think that like SkyMall was kind of like perfect for being in the air. But yeah, the way that it works is, and this was like pre-internet, the way that it worked was like people put in their orders. There was like a mail-in thing. I can't remember exactly the mechanism, but like it was like a mail order catalog. It's just distributed instead of distributed via mail. It was just in every airplane on every airline. They had deals with every airline. Estimates are that it hit annual revenue of about 80 million around 2009. This is the business model. So I just wanted to kind of like break this down because I think there's a few very interesting like takeaways that I think work for anybody who's operating a business or thinking about starting a business or just like wanting to make money or whatever, right? So it was an annual revs of about 80 million. The whole backstory is it started in 1990. So by 1990, mail order catalogs were incredibly popular. Like the Sears catalog was like the main way people bought stuff for a really long time by that point. And by the 90s, like I remember there was a catalog called CSS that was like a skateboarder, snowboarder catalog I used to get. There's Eastbay used to be a catalog, right? So mail order catalogs were already incredibly popular by this point. They didn't start as a mail order catalog. They kind of like took that concept and were like, how do I just distribute differently? So the original idea was airplanes. The guy's name, the founder's name is Bob Worsley, I want to say. Yeah, Bob Worsley, who actually went on to be a senator in Arizona after this, like in the 2010s. But their idea originally was for it to be like an enterprise software thing where you could somehow place the order in flight and the products would be waiting for you on the ground. That was his original vision for it.
That'd be hot.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how he was pitching it to the airlines initially, was this enterprise software. Couldn't figure it out. Like you could imagine, it's 2025. I don't think anybody could pull that off even now. Right. You would have to have, you actually could pull it off now. You would have to have,
it would have to be Amazon.
Yeah. You'd have to have warehouses at the airlines, at the airports.
I do think there's a gap like in what's available, because every time I fly and I'm going somewhere for a couple of days, like I need certain things in the hotel room. I need Red Bulls, I need waters,
whiskey,
I need some whiskey. Like there's a whole, like I basically have like a rider for like,
well,
all right, I'm landing
DoorDash
somewhere.
For that.
What's that?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to get the things you're talking about, Nate.
Yeah,
but it's all annoying. It's all not as easy as it just being there.
Like I went on a trip to Scottsdale the other month, and I was like, okay, I know a bunch of guys are on the way to the house. We're gonna need booze, food, water, the essentials for the human body, and
that's it.
I went on DoorDash like 3 days before, and then just scheduled it to show up like like 30 minutes after we arrive.
You're telling me you like planned your life enough in advance to go on DoorDash 3 days before you got to a location?
I didn't know that was a feature. I don't know.
Yeah, you can do that. You can schedule deliveries out in advance. The only like downside is that if the store doesn't have what you originally put anymore, then you got to like chat with them back and forth on your substitutions, which
Yeah.
Hate
you
that.
know isn't that big of a pain.
Yeah.
But
I'd
yeah, you can
lose
have
it.
whatever you want in your hotel room all the time. Just use DoorDash.
Everything
An
you just
unofficial
said,
sponsor.
Now I know.
I just also learned for the first time that that's a feature. It will make zero difference in my life. There is no point where I ever foresee myself thinking that far ahead in the future that I'm like, oh, I'm going to need this stuff when I get there. And I'm going to like remember to chat back and forth with the people about substitutions. It's an irrelevant piece of information for
I
me.
love
But that
planning.
is fun.
I
I
love
love that.
planning some things, and that's
Yeah.
one of them.
See, yeah, like snacks and drinks to me are the only thing I think about pretty much
Yeah.
all day. So like when I have a trip coming up, my only stress about the trip is like, where am I going to get Red Bulls and good whiskey when I land?
All Nate does is sell wooden watches and drink Red Bull and whiskey.
Yeah.
You know, that's what he's thinking about every day.
It's a pretty good life.
So anyway, yeah, SkyMall started, his whole pitch was enterprise software to kind of like have the products on the ground. Obviously could never pull that off, but they did kind of get to the point where they could like, you place the order kind of like right when you land, or I can't remember exactly how it worked, but they would be able to usually get the product to you like while you were still at wherever you were at, if you weren't going home, right? Or you could have it shipped to your home. Yeah, 80 million, 2009 was the peak. They have pivoted and they're online now. But yeah, I just a couple things that I think are pretty interesting about this, and like I'll just do a little kind of like scroll through the website here. Like here's some of the most ridiculous SkyMall products of all time. You got the human slingshot. I don't know if you guys have seen these before. Basically,
Whoa.
it's like a thing that like 4 people get into, and you play this like really high stakes game of chicken where you slingshot at each other really fast and hope that you miss each other. I don't know how else to say that, but yeah, I've played. It's not fun. The window cleaning robot. I've actually seen a drop shipper as recently as like last year selling these in a different country that's not the US with like Facebook ads and drop shipping.
Huh.
Lip enhancer, night vision camera watch. Figured that one would be big for you, Nate. Some product research here. Electronic pillbox, because I know that that's important to have electronics built into your pillbox. The travel hoodie, the hoodie pillow. So you got the travel pillows. This one has
a Shackleford right there.
Yeah, that's a classic Shack. So yeah, that kind of stuff. It's like, crap you don't need that is kind of interesting. A couple interesting takeaways, I think here. Like first one is I'll get to the distribution method for this in a second, but like the first thing is the fact that he positioned it as an enterprise software. I think sometimes there's like emerging language that is kind of annoying, but maybe kind of beneficial as well if you're selling into certain markets. So if you're selling into a B2B market right now, or if you're trying to get investors right now in 2025, you should be using words like AI and agents, right?
Oh, they are. Everybody is.
Everybody is. It's kind of annoying. Yeah.
They don't even have an AI, and they say that's part of it.
Yeah, there's some of them, and I don't want to call anybody out, but there's some stuff that's like, here's an AI calendar thing, and I'm like, it's just you just ask me what the priority of this task is, and then you order everything in the like this. There's no AI to this. This is literally just like logarithmic.
The definition of intelligence has gotten real loose these days.
Right.
I'm noticing.
How intelligent does it need to be? So like AI and agents are those words right now. I think there's been those throughout time in business and in consumer. So, gluten is a word that like in 2000 or 1995, nobody knew that word. That's in consumer. Now everybody knows that word, right? Electrolytes is probably another one. I think if you're going B2B, you want to use those words early. Does that make sense? So like he's going B2B, he's trying to distribute this into airplanes. So that's B2B. So he was saying enterprise software, which was one of those phrases in 1990. Like that was the hottest investment period for enterprise software. Like people were like, whoa, software that businesses use? This is a crazy idea, guys. Like we're not going to do things on pen and paper forever. Like that was really what they were like doing in 1990. So I think that's smart. You want to kind of like use those phrases early before they have mass adoption if you're going B2B. But then if you're going B2C, I think you don't want to be too early to them. So I used to work with this brand that was like really harping on ketones. But this was like 2015, 2016 that they were harping on ketones. And it's like, this is just language nobody knows yet. Now a lot more people know ketones. Like that's like a word that's kind of in people's zeitgeist a little bit more. If you were doing like something that was gluten-free in 2005, people would have been like, what is that? I don't know what that is. What does that mean? Right. And then gluten-free kind of had this like, so I think if you're business to consumer, you want to wait till the masses understand the language to use it. But if you're B2B, I think you want to go early on that like buzzword type language.
Yeah, I think a lot of it we see, I think supplements is one that like massively uses it, because if somebody finds a new like health advantage from Eastern medicine, and then it comes over here, and then they're like, okay, we're got to monetize this new hype thing to talk about. But like specifically to apparel, you saw so many brands switch to like sustainability models, and then like I don't even know but they're always like, we're trying to get to zero emissions,
like
or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, look at our bags and our tags and our clothing, like not a single bad thing was used along the way. And you usually find out that it's bullshit. But at the same time, it's like, I think I saw a big push of brands pop up out of sustainability, and then people's mission statements became all about sustainability. And it's kind of died down. Like, there's only a few brands that really dominate sustainability, I would say.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like Original Grain hopped on it relatively early, 2013, started out with the planting trees thing. And we've planted 750,000 trees. We've removed like 250,000 pounds of plastic from the ocean. We do all these great sustainability things. I've never been able to prove that any customers care about it, or that like it improves any kind of performance when we talk about it. So I think it was definitely one of those things that popped off, and every brand was like, we got to have a sustainable strategy, basically. But then I think we all kind of figured out that customers aren't willing to take out their wallets just because of that.
I think the TLDR is like, if you're using some kind of trend language, the timing's pretty key. So if you were pitching something as an enterprise software today, people would be like, I mean, I don't even know if that's going to be around. Like, you wouldn't get investors, you wouldn't really get interest. But in 1990, great timing to be using enterprise software as your language to get your foot in the door. Similar to at one point, sustainability probably was a pretty good consumer message. I think that might have been before our time as internet marketers, because I similarly have never seen anybody get any gains, any brand, and I've been doing this for like over 10 years now. I've never seen any brand get any gains by using sustainability in their messaging. There's a possibility that was always just a red herring, and there, it was never like a really helpful message, but I want to believe it was. Anyway, that I think timing's super key. If you're too late to it, then it like is it's just noise. Everybody's saying it. If you're too early to it, not enough people have the language yet. So I think on B2B, you're too late once people who aren't like kind of in the B2B world and like interested in sort of B2B type stuff. Once like you're okay, so the measure in B2B, I would say once you're like dad or your uncle or something like that knows what it is. Like once my dad says like agentic AI, then I'll be like, okay, we shouldn't be pitching anything as agentic AI anymore. Or if my wife says it or something like that, then I'll be like, okay, that's that. The trend, it's reached too many people that now you're too late to be using that frame. Whereas that's actually the right time if you're in B2C, right? So like you want to be right there if you're in B2C. In B2B, I actually you probably can be too early. I don't know if I have good examples of that though.
It's just funny that we can make a lot of money off literally words.
Yeah.
As long as you toss them into your pitch and presentation, you might pique some interest. And AI is in a weird place right now too, because it's also like you ask some people and it's something others want to like stay away from. Like it just like older generation a little bit too. Like you mentioned AI around my parents, they think it's like the devil. So you got to be careful.
It
like
might
how you
be.
position
We don't know.
it.
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, we all saw Terminator. Yeah. I think my main point there is I really like to kind of wrap this little like mini learning from the SkyMall thing. I really liked, I can't remember his name, Will. He's the founder of IQ Bar. Just trying to give credit where credit's due here. I can't remember where I read this, but I think it was him who said like he likes to increase his surface area for trend. So like when he makes a bar, when he makes like a product, he's like, how could I? And we've been talking about this at Royo a lot too. We're like making a new product right now. I'm not ready to announce yet, but we're making a new product right now, and we're like, should it be high protein? That's very on trend, high protein. It was like, okay, but by the time this comes out, that might not be on trend anymore. And I'm like, we should increase our surface area for trend. So if high protein is on trend, we should be able to reasonably say this is high protein, at least for this kind of product. If low sugar is on trend, we should be able to say that about this product. If some other like net carbs is on trend, we should like increase the surface area for being able to say this is that, right? So whatever the kind of trendy language is at the moment, I think that's pretty big in consumer. You know what I mean?
I think the founder is Will Nitz.
Yeah.
How you say it? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how to say his last name. Will is his first name, I think, but
Yeah.
Makes
I don't know him
sense
personally.
though. Like I always think about in beta to see like you want to speak the language that your customers are speaking already.
Yeah.
Like if you have to educate them, that's going to be an uphill battle where I think a lot of businesses want to know where this is going and what it's going to look like in 6 to 12 months. But
yeah.
customers just want something they can understand, they already kind of align with. That's going to be your most efficient message.
They don't care to be ahead of trend like businesses do.
Yeah.
I am using some AI language in our ads.
Yeah.
I made an ad that says, "Hey, ChatGPT, what's the best Father's Day gift?"
Saw
And
that
then
one.
it says answer and then our hat. And I was
Yeah.
like, let me dabble with the language, like what people are talking about right now, and see how
Yeah.
it does. It's doing great, 3 days in, but we'll see. It probably won't be our like winning ad or anything.
Well, notice that you're not saying, hey, LLM or hey, Claude or hey, like you're not even saying, hey, AI. You're saying, hey,
Yeah,
ChatGPT. Because that's what has reached escape velocity to like, your
to common
parent.
knowledge. Yeah.
Okay. So another little mini learning from this one is like slightly off. I don't know. I need like a good word for this or good phrase for this, like slightly off distribution. So like a little different with your distribution. So what is this really? It was, and ultimately they didn't actually even carry these products. They were a warehouse that they sold into vendors or vendors. They decided they were basically a retailer, right? So they stored the products, but they didn't, instead of having a storefront, they did them in these mail order catalogs. So they're like, okay, mail order catalogs already exist, storefronts already exist. The business model for what we're doing already exists. We get products from vendors and we house them and then we sell them to people. How could we do distribution that's a little bit different, right? They could have just done mail order catalogs. They could have just done storefronts. They didn't do that. Probably part of it is that the vision was that it would be like in enterprise software and it would be available when you land. So that's probably part of why they went a different direction. But it kind of makes me think of like, what was the way to build an e-commerce brand for the longest time? And I would say even still, it's like, develop product, run meta ads, or run Google ads or something like that, right? And then you have a brand like Mini Katana that they're not allowed to run meta ads because they're selling swords and you can't sell weapons on meta. And so what do? They just get really, really good at TikTok and YouTube. And like instead of spending all that money on ads, they spend that money on people and equipment to just make tons of organic content until they get better and better and better at it. And then they get a lot of free impressions. And that's their like, it's just like, it's the same business with like a slight shift to the distribution. And it's not even that big of a shift. It's the same channels that everybody else is using. We're just like, instead of spending the money on paid, we're spending the money getting really good at organic. The way that brands launch, right? Like launching alongside like Chamberlain Coffee is just there's already a D2C coffee brand that is the same thing. They just repackaged and spun up a brand with Chamberlain on it. And it's like, okay, well, here we go. Built-in distribution meets product. So I think that's the other thing is like looking for like slightly off. I think this is more in launch phase, or if you're looking for like a real step growth thing, if you already kind of know the dribbling and passing and shooting and fundamentals of your business, this maybe doesn't apply. But in launch phase or in like, step growth opportunity, it's like, what is like slightly different distribution? And I can think of recent examples. I can't think of any like really great examples that I'm like, oh, here's maybe an opportunity, but that's your job as a entrepreneur, is to spot those, right?
I want to tell you some things that we were learning about the Breeze website that was costing us a bunch of money that we actually didn't know until we installed a heat map. On our product page, we have bullet points that looked like buttons. We had elements that looked like buttons that you actually can't click. And we were finding out that we were literally losing money because the navigation was so unclear that to the thousands of dollars because of the amount of traffic we're spending, we weren't able to find success. And so heatmap.com was able to kind of highlight and tell us exactly where these users were clicking. And we made that immediate change. Then we saw on heatmap that like we had product tiles where people were navigating to kind of add to cart or learn more about the products. It's too far down on the page, but majority of the revenue is starting and driven from those specific tiles. And by us just moving those up the page so it's less of a scroll on mobile, we're able to drive almost 2 times the revenue from the same exact amount of traffic. That, again, was only coming from heatmap. I think that's super powerful because it's able to track specific dollars per element on your website, and no other thing in the world can do this. Not that I know. And so this is why it's easy enough for me to use or our CRO to use. There's no negotiation. There's no back and forth. It's either making us money or it's losing us money. And it's the reason why I'm super thankful for the heat map team to be a part of this crew. And if you want to try it for 14 days, free of charge, worst case, doesn't work for you. Best case, you make a bunch of money, you save a bunch of money. It's a win all around. Hope you guys try it out.
Yeah, we're making a push this year in I guess another lane of off the beaten path distribution. It's not, we're not inventing anything. It's just doing more in like influencer stuff. And yeah, I do think it's super interesting how once a business kind of starts and matures, they kind of get set in their ways of hey, we run Facebook ads. That's all we're going to do. And it can take you pretty far. Because it's definitely working out a new muscle group, trying to figure out this other channel of traffic now. And we're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, what we can pay for certain deals. But we're doing it and fighting through it because we think this can be a lever like Facebook's ads have been for us. So it's unlocks massive growth.
For established businesses, I think that if a channel doesn't crack right away, so a lot of brands in a certain revenue zone have a hard time with new channels because it doesn't do what Facebook ads or whatever their main channel. So Google ads or Facebook ads, or, some brands are kind of built on TikTok Shop now or Amazon, whatever their main sort of pillar channel is, the new channels don't really do that for them right away. And so they're like, why would I do this when I can just keep doing my main thing? And there is something to that. But I usually say, you're not wrong. There's a balance here though. And that other side of that balance is the moat means it's good. You know what I mean? The moat means if you crack it, it's harder for other people to get through that barrier, right? Somebody has to have at least the resources you have in order to get through that barrier. But if somebody's too big and has too big of resources, then oftentimes they won't be scrappy enough to get through it either, right? So it's that moat to crack a new channel when it doesn't work right away does represent something potentially valuable,
100%.
Bart, thoughts on this? Bart's like, no, just run Facebook ads. I don't know. Why would you do anything
And
else?
for the record, I believe that for every brand under 50 million a year.
I know,
get really good at Facebook ads. It can take you a very long way. We're only doing it because we're looking 24 months ahead of where OG is today, and we're coming off a couple years in a row now of 100% growth, and we're looking at all right, when we are a properly big business, we want to have multiple things working for us. So we're kind of taking some shots downfield right now. It's hey, this could be very helpful for us in the future. I don't need this to work to hit my goals for this year, but just kind of starting to learn and see what else could be valuable to us.
Yeah, I've been doing the same thing with Dad Gang, even though Instagram and Meta are bread and butter. I think it's kind of dumb not to be in other places, even if it's at a very low level. You should at least be Nate and I were literally talking about Shops campaigns earlier today via text. And it's be in Shops, be in TikTok, be in YouTube, be in AppLovin, be in, I don't know, Taboola if you want, like all these spots, like at least go explore them and maybe spend like a little bit of advertising budget in there just to learn, because like you said, you will hop into there and nothing will happen, and then you'll be disappointed because this meta machine is cranking for you. But all those channels behave as different machines, and they attract people differently. And so I think it's more about like, if you were to like lose your job tomorrow and then go to another company and they are in 6 different channels and you have no idea like how to navigate them because you're just a meta head, then
Yeah.
I think it's like, for any marketers or people that run companies, like it's just like good to know what those environments look like for your brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the best time to test those things is when meta's still working for you.
Yep.
Like I put
You
Yeah.
have the resources.
Not when you're panicking because
Yep.
right.
it's
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
Like I put in our Slack group this week that we spent our first $6,000 on YouTube ads, and it was a 1x return on ad spend, which for week one, I'm like, cool, like something is working here. Like there's
Yeah.
something here and we'll figure it out over the next month or two. But like, I'd feel a lot worse about that if I didn't have meta ripping right now. You know what I mean? If I was like, oh shoot, I need this to work this month or we're screwed, like that would result in
Yeah.
some bad behavior and
Yeah. Get yourself in a spot where you can
Yeah.
lose some cash
Yeah.
to try new things.
Yeah. And I think if you're not like, if you're panic diversifying, probably this is very
never
broad
worked.
advice. Yeah. Probably the better thing for you to do is just go back to your, like, get better at the thing you're already good at. It's not working right now, but that's the hard work, right? It's like, and that's a lot of marketing and growing a brand that's already has traction is just like, a lot of it's just getting better at something you're already good at. You're already really good at meta ads. You got to get better at them. It's like being a professional athlete. Like you're already really good at basketball. You got to somehow get better at it. Right.
Yeah. Well, and I will say 3 years ago at OG, I did the complete opposite thing. I shut down every channel except for Meta and Google because I didn't think we were executing any of them well.
Yeah.
And it was time to be like, hey, let's just narrow our field of vision here. Let's get really good at one thing before we try to do anything else, because we're trying to advertise on 7 channels and doing them all pretty mediocrely. But now that we feel like, hey, Meta's crushing, we're very good at that, putting up great growth for a few years in a row, let's now start to look at like how we could diversify one day. But yeah, it's coming from a place of like exploration, not of desperation.
Yeah, I would, and we're kind of narrowing the scope of this to advertising because I think that's maybe the most relevant thing for like a brand that's already established. But just widening out to distribution in general, right? So, can you think of a way to do distribution that's just a little different than is kind of normal, right? That's probably the key here to like why Sky. It's like, yep, there's already retail. That's like, had they just tried to start retail stores with these kinds of products, probably would have failed. Too competitive already. Had they just tried to start this in mail order catalogs, also probably would have failed. Too competitive already. But it's like use the airline distribution channel. Make a good deal with the airlines. So this is the other thing. Is the last thing is like they made an affiliate deal with the airlines. So the airlines have all this space. They have all these impressions. And while the mail order catalog was a thing, nobody was doing, they were first. So sometimes in business, like first to a category doesn't end up being the winner. In this case, and then there were people who followed SkyMall and tried to do the same thing. But in this case, like the first to kind of think of this idea of like strike a deal with the airlines, cut them into every bit of revenue, and and then you place the catalogs for free. Our cost essentially is print the catalogs, warehouse the products. And I think they weren't even warehousing the products at first. Like I think they were like drop shipping the products at first, or doing what that era's version of drop shipping. This drop shipping has been around for a while now. But yeah, they're so that's like the last thing is like using your ins. So this guy ended up being a senator down the line. Is like in 2012 he was an Arizona senator. So like what I imagine he was already connected in some ways, like what do you have that other people who are trying to do a similar thing to you don't have, even if it's a little bit different? And like, how can you use that? So like an example right now is I have a buddy who's kind of like starting a media company, and he's like, I don't really have a lot of connections in media or even like know-how, but like I do have a lot of connections to brands. So is there something there, right? So like he's doing man on the street content for brands, right? Like street interviews for brands. A lot of brands don't want to go out and do them themselves. It's a content format that's proven. And it's like, well, what if I do these for brands on behalf of brands? And so then he comes up with like good ideas that are like, you know, good brand integrated, but like still good organically as well. So like, it's like, okay, what do you have? You have connections to brands. All right, then, you know, maybe use that to build the thing that is, you know, instead of building it in the traditional way of like just going out and making content, right? In this case is for the street interviews creator, right? So I think, yeah, that's sort of the last thing I'm thinking of. I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
have
we got to get into where the new fathers are. So I've always been saying it, but we got to get into those delivery rooms and the
yeah,
hospital gift shops. Like I know that's technically a retail play, but it's also not conventional, like Original Grain or Cuts or, you know, these
yeah.
guys aren't like, let's hit the hospitals, you know, but
Well, yeah,
for me,
yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah, I like
You
for
makes all
you,
the sense in the world.
if you could be in Nordstrom or um hospital gift shops in like one of the largest hospital chains or groups
Like
in the
Kaiser
country.
Permanente or yeah, or
Yeah,
Swedish.
yeah, you
Yeah,
would
no
probably
brainer.
choose the hospital group. Yeah,
Yeah, because I think sell-through rates in a hospital for a dad gang hat are going to be better
yeah,
than a, you know, massive retailer that carries a bunch of other stuff.
100%. I was gonna ask, did SkyMall ever get in like doctor's office waiting rooms or dentist office? Because what they had with airlines is like just a bored, trapped audience.
yeah.
And I was thinking, like,
Yeah.
where else can you get a bored, trapped audience?
No, they from the research I did, they kind of just kept the focus on the
Yeah,
airlines,
makes sense.
but yeah, and once competitors came, they had to like come up with better terms for the airlines and, you know, improve their business of like, okay, the competitors are drop shipping, we need to warehouse products and be able to get it to people while they're still on their trip, right? And that's our advantage or whatever. So yeah, and then their ability to curate vendors, I think, was another big one. Is like all their products, like you would read a SkyMall for entertainment, even if you weren't going to order anything.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Bart,
That
I
is
love the
crazy. They
idea of
were
you getting
literally
into. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just on what you said. It's crazy. They literally were trapped and bored. Like
Yeah,
there's
it's
no
a
way
hostage
out of
audience.
that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. A
the
trapped
like
audience.
hook rate and scroll through rate was
Oh yeah.
unbelievable. Like the hold rate of that magazine, I think the average Facebook ad has like a 3-second hold rate. People would read that thing over and over for 6 hours. Like,
And literally hold it.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
whole nother rate.
Bart, I love the idea of you getting into hospitals. Any thoughts of going earlier, trying to get in on the night of conception?
That's smart. It's very smart. I will acknowledge that. But no.
I think there's an ad angle there. There's an ad angle there. Like
well, like OBGYNs and
Midwives.
there you go.
you have like 6 appointments leading up to the birth of the child. So
Start sponsoring OBs, like so they go around throughout their day.
I'm good friends with a couple of them. Like we used a why can't I think of the name? A doula. We use a doula for both our kids, and like they're in like these deep groups, and so I need to infiltrate the handmaids.
Yeah, doulas, midwives, get on
it. Not the handmaids. That's not what I meant.
I know what you meant.
I knew what you meant. I was gonna let it go. Just ignore it.
I said it and instantly said to myself, "Why? Why did you say that one?"
Yeah, I don't know. Those were just, I don't know. I sometimes come up with like little things and I'm like, oh, you know, I think here's some stuff that is relevant and applicable to anybody. Nate, I know you got to jump soon, so we can kind of pass the topic ball to you. What's on your mind this week? What do you want to chat about?
I want to follow up on some performance copywriting stuff that I think was born on the last podcast.
We got some comments that said like you guys should do a whole episode on this. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah.
Bart, your tweet and then your ad about changing your copy from "we make the best hats for dads" to "we make the best hats for the best dads." Crush, huh?
Yeah, it's still on, still going. Haven't changed a thing. I know I've definitely implemented more of it into like our Father's Day content that's coming out. And I don't know, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like we can over optimize the hell out of it, but at the same time, it's like you just want to make people feel a certain way if they buy your product. And so and we do make hats for dads that do want to represent and scream about being a dad and loving it at the same. So I would assume those guys are already great dads if they're just like celebrating it with a hat. So putting it back onto them, like, hey, this is the best hat for the best dad, rather than this is the best hat for dads. Just adding that little element of like, I am the best dad, you know, and I am going to get this has really, I've turned it on like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and
Yeah.
it's been on. I haven't changed a thing about it. It was just making more of it. And I'm pretty sure even in like, I've carried it over to like caption copy and stuff for ads too, where it used to be like, we make the absolute best hats for dads over whatever amount sold. Now I say like for the best dads, and trying to just carry that over into like more aspects of just creating an ad in general.
Love it.
Well, I will say stuff like that where it's like the best dads or whatever. If you're a dad and you're not that, you still get it. You still get that that's like, you know, oh, a lot of people, you know, world's greatest. Is anybody really the world's greatest dad? Like, nah, you know, I don't know. We can't really, there's no rankings.
Someone is.
There were,
There's
but there-
not. Damn
but there's that should be a dad gang initiative. Like you guys have dad world rankings. That would be
We hold like an Olympics or something every
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
That'd
the
be
dad
cool.
Olympics.
It's just
You do
grilling,
stuff like
packing the
getting
car up for
toddlers out of car
vacation.
seats while carrying groceries.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
Test people's
but-
frustration levels.
right, just like noise. Just have like some noise constantly.
Have their wife start doing a chore right before you leave the house to go out and see how angry they get. That'd be a good one. Is that just me? Sorry, I get mad at that.
Or start doing a chore and leave it half done. It's like, oh, I'm glad you decided to clean the entire kitchen, and now everything's on the kitchen floor, and you're not doing that anymore. I see. So that's fun. But
This would be so funny.
but I was gonna say, like, I consider myself. I mean, I'm a dad. I consider myself to be like a not good dad. I'm definitely below average. And if I see an ad that says like the best hats for the best dads, I'm not like, well, that's not for me. You know, I'm like, oh, like you
I think
still
you're
get
in the minority.
yeah.
Dads who don't think they're killing
Like,
it.
damn, I suck. I should have.
There's got to be a 50th. I'm saying there's got to be a 50th percentile of any group. You know,
You're above it.
there's got to be standard
for
deviations
sure.
in any group. I think there's a lot of dads that are well aware they're not the best dad because the last time they saw their kid was several years ago, right?
Wow.
So I think, you know, they're probably pretty aware. But for someone who sees their kids every day, I like if we just shift the aperture to that group, I'm definitely below the 50th percentile. Like, not good. Right. But like I
We got to
wouldn't
do
see
a pod
that
about
ad.
that.
I wouldn't see that ad and think it's not for me. I would just be like, is that a cool hat? You know what I mean? Like it would like what works about the best hats for dads still works about the best hats for the best dads.
Yeah.
But then the dads who see themselves as a good dad, or the wives who gift it to their husband, or the kids who gift it to their dad or whatever, like it reframes it for them, I think.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I still have a ton that are just neutral. I just say the best hats for dads.
Yeah.
I can't say that like
Those ones are
adding in the best hats for okay dads.
The best
Just
hats, even if you're not a good dad. That would get me if it said that, hey, we don't care how good a dad you are. But,
even if you're questioning how good you are at this hat's for you.
We accept you, even if you suck at being a dad. I'd be like, I'm in. I'm kind of bought into this brand now.
Dude, the best hats for the top 80% of dads. I don't think that ad would hit that hard.
Yeah, but the competitive like male spirit might hit that one.
True. Well, hey,
Yeah.
before we move on from this, can I just give you one more place to try to test this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we just tested a similar messaging as like the second image on our product page, and it has absolutely ripped. So we just changed the second product image on this watch that's made out of Taylor guitar tone wood. We used the same exact image, but we put copy on it that said, "This watch has perfect timing and looks great on stage, just like the musicians who wear it." 20% increase in conversion rate on this product page. So we're rolling this out site wide right now.
Not for musicians that show up late to their concerts.
Correct. Yeah. It's for musicians who are on time. Now we are taking our best like static ads for basically every product and testing it as the second PDP
Oh, interesting.
image.
You're putting static ads kind of in your product carousel.
Yeah. I just think that space is like super high impact and like often underutilized. And I think like
Yeah.
we do a great job of like selling the watch on our LPs, but then our PDPs always like lacked any kind of persuasive copy. So this is our way of getting it in there, and it's crushing so far. So yeah, so that second image is new. Well, it's the same image. We just added that copy on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's absolutely crushed.
I don't want
$100 off? No,
Yeah, sorry
thanks. What?
about the
Yeah,
promo.
and then you do this too. So you put some of your UGC or product demo videos on it. I've seen that work really well. Our
Yeah.
landing page at Royo has some of our best UGC. I don't remember.
Don't even go to mine.
I don't remember our URL off the rip, so I'm not going to be able to pull it up. But our landing page at Royo has some of our best UGC integrated into the landing page. So, there's a good chance you've clicked through one of the ads, and then it's not on the first scroll, but it's a couple scrolls down. And then on
What do
mobile,
you guys
I
use for
imagine
that? Is
Go
that Tolstoy?
We are using, I think it's called Novel or B Novel
Oh,
or
okay.
something.
I used Tolstoy at another brand. That's pretty cool. Similar thing.
Yeah, I think we looked at both of them. I think this was cheaper, to be honest, but it's working.
Okay, I know you're running a lot of product catalog ads and you're using Marpipe. What are some of the creative tests in your catalog ads that you've noticed that have worked well for Dad Gang?
Honestly, for us, the thing that's performing really well right now is like a three grid breakout of the hat. So a lot of our original catalog ads would just have like the front of the hat showing and not the second image. So being able to showcase like the front, the side, the back of the hat in one ad. The other one, as simple as it sounds, is just like actually putting the price front and center, like a little red circle that actually shows the price, because our hats are great quality, but they're only $35 compared to a lot of like the similar quality of a hat out there is like $45 to $60. So I think being able to showcase an affordable price in one ad is helping too.
So, and like Marpipe specifically, they just bust out tons of variations of your catalogs and keep testing it.
Yeah, you just integrate directly into Slack with their team, let them know what you're kind of looking for. They bust out a bunch of variations. It connects directly into your Ads Manager account, and you don't even have to do that much within Ads Manager. It's a seamless integration into everything you're already doing.
If you're any kind of brand that wants to put your catalog ads on steroids and get more returns, better returns out of your catalog ads, check out marpipe.com. All right, back to the pod. Yeah. So, and then on mobile, just because people are probably watching this on, YouTube or whatever, this would be a carousel. So that would be the first image, and then you're carouseling through. And that's been a significant lift, huh?
Yeah, 20% increase in conversion rate on this PDP. So we're testing more now. But yeah, it's a big deal. I'm pumped about it.
I'll also say that just goes to show, like, even like established brands that are doing really well, ongoing testing. You know what I mean? Like,
it's forever.
At this point, most of my tests lose at Royo. You know what I mean? Like the control's gotten so good that it's pretty tough to beat. But when you can find, it's like it compounds, right? So like when you find tests that, because it's like, you just build on it. Even if at first you find 1 out of every 3 landing page tests, beats the control. and then it gets to 1 out of every 5, and then it's 1 out of every 10. But even then, it's still worth continuing to do it, because that 1 out of every 10, it's like, again, it's like a moat, right? Like if somebody tried to
For
rip
sure.
your brand and copy it exactly, it's like, yeah, I have tested my way into like data, knowing what works and what doesn't work. Whereas you're just like ripping exactly what I'm doing, not knowing what elements are actually helping you and hurting you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
So-
we've had like a pretty solid CRO strategy for like 2 years now. And like the first year, every test we did won by like 100%. Like it was really easy to beat what the control was.
Yeah.
And lately, like, yeah, we've had a lot of tests lose, and the ones that win are, by 10 to 20%, not by 100%. But we've been able to grow so much that like a 5% win on a high traffic landing page is still like
Huge.
impactful
Yeah.
for us. And yeah, as far as anyone copying shit, like go ahead and copy my messaging today. I'll find something that beats it within 3 months, and we'll start running that. So it's all good.
Yeah. What are some other copy tweaks? So I was actually spying your like your ads, Nate, a little bit. I can't remember what it was for, but you've done a lot of like slight tweaks to a lot of the copy on your images. And I mean, I won't bring them up because one, I'm not trying to like I'm not trying to do too much free plugs for software tools that can help you spy on this kind of stuff. But anybody can get into ads library. But like, for example, you'll have like that one was the Taylor, that was like the Taylor collection, or the guitar collection, right? The guitar wood collection with Taylor guitars. So like you might have one that's like, made from Taylor, like the wood of Taylor guitars. And then you might have one that's like, do you love guitars? Like there's just like, I'm just giving like rough examples, but you've done a lot of like little tweaks that it's like, it says the same thing with slightly different words. And we were kind of talking about how Bart's was like the best hats for dads versus the best hats for the best dads, and the best hats for the best dads is killing it. What are some of the ones that have been like just little tweaks for you?
Yeah, so we've had like one headline format that is in that Taylor one, and like is in a lot of our ad, that's like adjective plus adjective, just like the target market who uses it. So this one, this watch has perfect timing and looks great on stage, just like the musicians who wear it.
Right.
And the first like big winner from this was our watches are smooth and unique, just like the guys who wear it. Then we changed it to smooth and classic, and
So
that one.
the watch is so product adjective, just like customer adjective.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wear it or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, like at this point we found out like classic works better than unique as an adjective, and then the latest winner is rugged, and like changing individual words is having a 5 to 10% impact on landing page conversion rate. So yeah, it's really powerful, especially because I think like probably less than half the people are reading it. But of the people who do read it, like it's that impactful that it's, netting a 10 to 15% increase,
Yeah. Okay. So for example, I don't know if these are all for the whiskey one, but I'm just gonna, you have some that it was a Jack Daniel's collab, where the watches are made from like bourbon barrels, right?
Yep.
So like just to kind of like, you have one that's like just says what the watch is: charred whiskey, black chrono, 44 millimeter. And then you have another one. This looks like a Valentine's Day one, and it's not the whiskey one, but you could easily put it with the whiskey one as well. Get him something he actually wants to wear, right?
Yep.
But then you have one handcrafted from bourbon barrels, which is kind of straightforward, says like what the value, like why is this watch different than other watches? And then you have another one that says like, if you love drinking whiskey, you'd wear a watch made from bourbon barrels. Are these like formulas you've developed over time, and how often are you like trying a new headline formula, or do you have a system for this, or is it just like something comes to you?
Yeah, a lot of it is building off past winners. The way that we kind of look at it is like we need to convince someone to buy a watch from us to begin with before we kind of teach them which watch they should buy.
Right.
So a lot of our top of funnel messaging is a little more broad. It's the stuff that's like carve your own path. These watches are built for living and worn for legacy.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we want you to think we're cool, and we want to like resonate with you emotionally. And then
Right.
our conversion campaigns are going to come in with, hey, you should buy this one if you like whiskey, because it's made from that and it makes, sense that you should wear a watch that tells a little bit about who you are. But yeah, so kind of like at different levels of the funnel, we are communicating very specifically of like what we want that person to feel and do at that time.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Cool.
Any other good ones here?
No, just test your copy. It matters a lot. People read it.
All right. Well, Nate, I know you have 5 minutes. You can hang around if you want. Bart, you want to do what's a quick one from you?
Father's Day prep.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about it, Bart.
Yeah.
Inventory, ads, and logistics. That's like our three main things. Is do we have enough hats? Yes, and they're here, and they're tariff free. So we're happy about that because we planned accordingly.
Huge.
Ads, plenty of them. I'm building more as we go. I'm like ramping up spend probably like in 8 days or so from what it is right now.
Are you launching the sale on Monday?
We don't have a sale.
Ooh, no sale. Damn. You're a better man.
The brand is called Dad Gang. I think he just doesn't need a sale.
Well, it's not only that. We make a very nice hat for $35. It's not an expensive dad gift if compare it to like, I don't know, a brand new Milwaukee hammer or something. Like it's gonna be a affordable gift. You can bundle and save a little bit, which is a promotion, but we don't overemphasize it. And then we actually launch more new product leading up to Father's Day. So like creating like drop momentum around the season rather than sale momentum has worked best for us.
So then do you just do a lot of creatives that call out like perfect gift for Father's Day type of creatives?
That's mainly all it is. Unless it's like dope video of our hats and it being worn and all that stuff, then like I'll put some like copy overlays and voiceovers that have to do with Father's Day in those videos. But like all the captions, descriptions, all that stuff is Father's Day related. And then I have like our Advantage Plus campaigns just do the best for us. They just always have. And I have one that's like Advantage Plus, Shops Plus website, and then one that's website only. And the Shops Plus website one is like all enhancements turned on, like everything that Meta recommends. I'm like,
we're doing that these days, by the way.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, and I kind of love to say it. It's really doing well for us. And then outside of that, I'm just separating a manual, very just Father's Day only campaign that's focused on parent, like in the targeting. It's like parents of toddlers, parents of kids up to age 12, and then like people that are into like certain sports and parenting and dads, and just like super hyper focused on the parenting aspect. So I'm running that, and that'll like ramp up closer to Father's Day. But yeah, it's more so like I think that stuff's all pretty set for us. But then just like knocking out logistics, making sure we can ship everything by Father's Day, and having good cutoff dates, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Nate, I know you got to jump in a minute. What is, I imagine you guys are having a sale, yeah?
Yep, we're running a sale. Also promoting.
What's the timing and what's the strategy around creative?
We're launching the sale on May 12th, the day after Mother's Day. And I'm only not launching it earlier because moms will get mad at us in the Facebook comments if we advertise it before. For us, we're running an early access sale that comes with a free $50 gift card if you buy in the month of May. For us, that helps us pull some orders forward, makes it a little more comfortable for us to scale up our spend pretty aggressively this month. The real like buyer intent spike never comes till like June 2nd or 3rd when people realize that Father's Day is 10 days away. But by that time, I want to have ads scaled up, have our, prices and messaging tested, and make sure everything's as dialed in as it can be for that spike. So yeah, launching on Monday, a lot of new creative going out. Our main headline that won last year that we're going to be testing against is show dad he's worth every second with a gift as unique and classic as he is. We're testing like 5 variations of that to see if we can beat it.
Yeah, I like it.
I felt that. I felt that caption. Got chills.
It's a good one, right?
Yeah.
You yeah, so you kind of like the longer sales. Like, how do you keep talking about it all month in email?
I think he's got to bounce.
I can give you 30 more seconds here. For us, like our product catalog is diverse enough that we can, talk about like, hey, these are the best watches for the whiskey drinking dad. These are the best watches for the outdoorsy dad. And then similar to Bart, we have stacked this month with product drops. So we launched a collaboration with Coors Banquet last week. We are launching with the Ryman in Nashville next week. We're launching with Ford at the end of the month.
That like idea of products for the whiskey drinking dad. It reminds me of the brand Manly Bands. You familiar with them? So it's they do like wedding bands, men's wedding bands.
Oh, okay.
And they like name them. So there's like the Cooper, the Jasper, the Eisenhower, the Rye, the Smitty, and then like they'll give them like so like here's the product description for the Smitty. Actually, I can just pull it up. Here's the product description for the Smitty. You're a man.
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah.
Decision making, idea generating, team building, adorable puppy having. You've got it all. So we broke the rules when making your ring because rules schmools. You deserve it. And then it has the product specs.
Yeah.
And and then they do like some licensing collabs, Jeep, Lord of the Rings, Fender, stuff like that. But they basically they like name the bands and they give them personalities to.
It's like vitamin water.
Yeah, some guys. This is the Jasper, or was it? Wait, who was this? This was the Eisenhower. Some guys find it difficult to move on from one arena of leadership to the next, but not you. You make any transition look smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You can command the battlefield one day, then run a country the next. The ring it brings as much as you do. I do think these are a little cheesy and generic, like unto if I'm being critical here, they're kind of like horoscopes. They're like man horoscopes. I think of horoscopes. Yeah, I think of horoscopes is not really for men for the most part. But yeah, so they're like, oh yeah, here's like an aspirational. Okay. So, but that said, I do think what he's saying is like the whiskey drinking dad. I think Bart's actually doing, or not Bart, Nate is actually doing it a little bit more genuinely. Like, does your dad love whiskey? Does he love guitars? Does he love, we've got.
It connects. Whereas they're like taking a ring and having to like they're making it up, right? There's like nothing that has to do with that.
Yeah. And, but I do wonder, I mean, this seems like something you could do with Dad Gang. Definitely seems, here's obvious examples for, male man brands, brands for men, but I think you could probably do this with like jewelry as well. You know what I mean? Like a jewelry for women as well, or lots of other categories where like, I'm even thinking of it for Royo where, like, how Nate's talking about like you said the best hats for the best dads. Like if you love whiskey, so like using stuff that's like for the health, for health influencers who still want stuff to taste good. Right. So it's like, are all of our customers health influencers? No, for like kind of calling out the avatar a little bit more with copy. I think, there might be something there.
Yeah, we were talking about yesterday. We were talking about like my son and most boys in their 1 to 5 year old phase are like obsessed with excavators and garbage trucks. It's just like right now, my son is like, I gotta like check him into like a garbage truck rehab center or something because it's getting ridiculous, and he like loses it over the side of a garbage truck or an excavator. And then they have this thing called dozer days coming to where we live. Damn. And like kids get to just like go and explore all the like big trucks they see on TV, like excavators and front loaders and dump trucks. And they're all like that, that yellow and black branding that like Cat does. And I was just thinking like, man, we really need to make some hats around like this phase of childhood for dads that are like, if dad has a Dad Gang hat that's somewhat inspired by an excavator, like black and yellow, and maybe has some like cool prints on it or something. Like we should do that. And that's where I would like add that into the story of the hat that you're going to
Yeah.
buy.
Yeah.
Like in the product description, like this is for the dad with a kid that's obsessed with trucks, right? And then just kind of add that to the description.
Everybody talks about optimizing their ads, but they don't spend enough time talking about optimizing their overall website, which is something that I think more of us need to spend time doing, and more of us need to spend time thinking through. The reason why most people don't do it is because you actually can't track revenue per element on your site. Heatmap.com does that. And that's something exactly why I love them and why we use it, because it's easy enough for me to use and it's easy enough for us to like communicate what exactly the changes are doing for our people. I like heatmap.com because it specifically drives revenue for us per element that we have. And so there's no real back and forth discussion. It's either going to start to work or we're going to get rid of it because it's tied directly to revenue. Google Analytics, which we all terribly hate, only talks about what's happening on the overall website, not the actual elements within the website. At the end of the day, the only valuable data point that we can gather are the ones that drive revenue. And if you aren't able to track that or update that, you're really wasting your time, which is why we use Heatmap, because we're able to track that specific data and know what optimizations we need to do next. Head on over to heatmap.com, give it a 14-day free trial. Worst case, it's not for you. You don't want to use it. Best case, you find a bunch of money and you make a bunch of money.
Yeah, or Minecraft, or I mean,
Yeah.
obviously Minecraft, you can't do the branding without licensing, but like you could do stuff inspired by, right? Designs inspired by.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. So you said for sales, ads, do we have enough ads? What kind of messaging are we using? And then logistics and inventory, those are your kind of three prongs.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we ads and content are the same in my head. So like, as long as we have enough content for those ads and everything's shot, we shoot all of our stuff on phones, so it's not like we go and do a big production for Dad Gang.
Right.
And then, I the customer needs to be happy around this time. If you're getting a special dad in your life, a Dad Gang hat, we want to make sure it's arriving on time. It's going to the proper address. You're getting the right size, you're getting the right style you think he'd like, and like making sure customer service and like shipping and everything's buttoned up. And then same with like holidays, make sure you order this product before X date to get it by Christmas. So just those kind of things, because I really believe like we have so many dads that collect our hats, and a lot of first time Dad Gang dads will show up this year. So I want them to like have a good experience on receiving that hat, and then hopefully coming back to become a collector.
Yeah. I think focusing, I would say that especially when you're not doing a sale, it's probably better to sell out and like undersell your potential and deliver an incredible customer experience than it is to like maximize revenue and
Right.
Be overwhelmed with fulfillment and potentially deliver more bad customer experiences. Especially because it's like you're selling these things at full price, and you're pretty much always selling them at full price, right?
Yeah, we have here and there sales. I mean, we still play in like Black Friday and all that, but they're not. We never go too aggressive. Like 25% is probably like the most we've ever done.
I was gonna say on Nate's, like he said, we're starting our sale the day after Mother's Day, and the only reason I would start it earlier is because, or I wouldn't start it earlier is because the moms would get mad at us in the comments. I was gonna say I generally advocate against starting the sales really early. Like people who want to start their Black Friday sales at the beginning of November, I generally advocate against that. I think it brings orders forward to a time that's less efficient. So you end up spending like your dollars over the whole month less efficiently. If you look at your total, like just gross profit or contribution dollars, I think it's better when you just like strike during the really peak buyer intent period when like all the tailwind is at your back, even if you can't quite spend as much. And the reason people go early is because they're like, well, we can do more volume that way. I also challenge that. I'm like, what if you just 5x 10? Like, what if you tried to spend all of that in 5 days? Sometimes it's so much that you just can't spend it in 5 days. But for most brands, I would say like I would I think Nate's a pretty good marketer and operator, so I trust what he's doing for Original Grain. I think that he's playing advanced like 40 chess there as a marketing strategy. For most brands, I would advise that they don't go that early and they try and focus their efforts on like when the tailwind is really there on buyer intent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think in our D2C world, it's just like extended so far
Yeah.
beyond, especially for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It's like I don't know. I saw like some big brands doing stuff like in October of this last year, and so um, that culture of kind of like, I think we can squeeze it even longer this year, like we can
Yeah.
start it earlier, or we over ordered, so let's start the sale now. Like there's so many factors that go into it. Whereas, yeah, for us, like in this period, I don't have the best example because we don't run a sale,
Uh-huh.
but my messaging for Father's Day has already started, and I kind of don't mind the Mother's Day
Yeah.
anger comments.
Especially if you're not doing a sale. Yeah. Just gives you more engagement.
Yeah, no, it's like, and we can engage with those comments. Like, no, we love the moms. Don't get it, don't
Yeah.
get it
This is the brand
confused.
ads.
Yeah, but we can't wait for Father's Day. That's all. We're not, no disrespect.
Yeah.
And so I think it's okay. Like our messaging, I want to get like sillier about it. I want to, like, after Father's Day, run an ad that's like, Father's Day is only 1 year away.
Yeah, only 364 days till Father's Day. That would be funny, actually, like an after Father's Day email. Like, get in now. You're only
Just put
364 days till Father's Day.
I put a countdown timer on our site during leading up to Father's Day. I should just leave it up
Yeah.
for the rest of the year, counting down till next year.
In high school, I used to work at a running store.
Yeah.
Like a running specialty store, sells running shoes and stuff like that. And next door to us was a Christmas store. And so they'd be very busy like in November and December, and they just wouldn't even open in the like they weren't open. Nobody was there during the summer. But what they did have, and somebody came and updated every day at a time where I never saw them. So they either did it in the middle of the night or early in the morning, was a chalkboard countdown timer in their window that said how many days it was till Christmas.
No way.
Yeah, this is on like a storefront in like the main street in the
Yeah.
city I grew up in. I grew up in a very like a town. You'd call it a town, but like a touristy town, like a lake town. Like think like Lake Powell or like I don't know what's the one in Nevada everybody goes to. Tahoe, yeah. So think about like I grew up in a town like that.
Yeah.
So it's like not big, but like there's some like main street storefront. So they had one of those like main street, which is crazy because I'm like nobody even comes here in the winter. This is for locals. You guys could be located anywhere in this city, and you chose the most expensive retail space, and you're not even when all the tourists are here. You're not even inside the store. It was a wild strategy, but
dude, they had an elf. They had an elf on the shelf in there, just changing it every day.
Yeah. So they, but that's all they just had a chalkboard countdown that somebody came and updated every single day with how many days it was till Christmas. It was like the running joke in our store. It'd be like, yeah, hey guys, only 270 days till Christmas. Like come into work one day and say that.
That's awesome.
But
I like it.
But yeah, that would be funny to do for Dad Gang. Like only, or it'd be even funnier. Just elevate it even more and be like, only 728 days till Father's Day 2027. Like.
We got a special hat drop in that day.
Special hat Father's Day 2027. I can't wait. Only 728 days. Yeah. That would be funny. But anyway, yeah. Back to my original point of like starting the sale early. Here's the sign. If the way that you're messaging the sale the whole time, and this is why I asked Nate this exact thing, so they're featuring different products, that's good. If the way that you're messaging it the whole time is you're like repackaging the same sale into different words, or you're changing the offer, and here's the one that really gets me. You're changing the offer and you're making it better every week.
Oh yeah.
And then you're keeping with your best offer the week of the sale. Don't do that. All you're doing is training people that if they buy early on your sales, they're going to get punished for it. They're not going to get the best deal. So
no, I mean, that's an automatic guarantee flood of emails from last week that say, hey, I bought this last week. Your percentage went up. Can I can I get a refund or something? Like,
Yeah,
it's an
it's usually not
instant.
packaged exactly like that. It'll be like different, slightly different SKUs that, oh, buy this and get that. But it's like, oh, this is a better deal though. And you keep doing that every
Yeah.
week.
Well,
And
people, I mean,
your
people are
customers
doing
see it.
math out here. People are doing math when they're shopping, and they'll
Yeah.
notice. And your loyal customers will notice the most if you offer one deal one day and then increase the savings the next week. You'll get emails and you'll get comments that are like, "Dude, why didn't you tell me about this?"
Let me put it this way. I've noticed a strong correlation between brands that are starting their sales very early and scraping the barrel for messaging and
Yeah.
brands that are struggling. Big correlation, very correlated.
Yeah.
Which I think when you're already in that position, you're like, well, what do you want me to do? You know, like
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do? What's the alternative? And it's like, I think it's like we're kind of sitting here maybe on our high horse and being like, just be a better brand, right? When it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I got to play the cards that I have in my hand right now. I get it, so you do what you got to do, I
Right.
suppose. But you put in a band-aid on like an open wound here. So there's some fundamentals to fix with the brand.
Yeah.
And that's really what needs to be run up the chain if you're a marketing director or something like that, or if you're a founder and that's what's going on, that's what needs to be, that's what you need to understand. Anyway, yeah, do the things people say on the different platforms. Leave a review, comment, subscribe, all of the stuff. Bye-bye.
Yep. See ya.